Today I want to talk about a couple of different concepts within the Boss GX100 that are kind of interrelated, one being the effects chain and the other being the send and return. So you may have an external effects pedal like an overdrive or a delay that you want to integrate with the effects and the amps within the Boss GX100. So we'll look at connecting the pedal and how to assign the send and return, and also where it would go in the effects chain, and also a couple of different more advanced options in terms of splitting or dividing the effects path into a parallel path where you can have certain effects in one channel and other effects in the other. So first of all, let's dive into connecting your pedal. So first of all, we just want to go from the send of the GX100, and this is going directly to the input of the pedal. And then take another patch cable and go from the return, and this will then go to the output. So basically the out, so the signal's coming out and it's returning into the GX100 and then sending a signal to the input of the pedal. So the first mode we have is the normal mode. Now this is how you would expect an effects loop to work in terms of the signal goes out of the GX100 into the effects pedal and then returns back into the GX100 and then continues on its path. Now if you were using an overdrive for an example, you would use that mode because you're basically directing the whole signal into the overdrive and then it's coming back into the GX100 and then affecting everything else in the effects chain. So the second mode is direct mix. Now this is if you wanted to blend the sound of the external pedal with the GX100. So if you've got a delay pedal where you want the delay to be mixed within the actual chain of the GX100, then you would use the direct mix. So you can actually blend the sound or the level between both devices. And then we have branch out. So this essentially uses the send jack on the GX100 as an auxiliary output. So if you wanted to run your stereo left and right outputs to, say, the mixing board, the mixing desk, you could actually then run the branch out send jack to your on-stage monitor. So it basically gives you another way of being able to send the same signal, and you can then have an independent control over the level of that single sending to your monitor. So when you're using the branch out mode, the actual return jack doesn't work, okay? It's ignored. It's basically just the send jack that is active, and that's the signal that's coming out of the GX100. So that's just the clean sound that I'm running on the GX100. I'm using the JC120 amp. So what we will do now is we'll turn on the effects pedal itself, the overdrive. So we can hear that doesn't sound very good, and that's because we need to place the send and return in the right position within the effects chain. And typically with an overdrive pedal, you would place it before the amp block. So let's go and do that now. Okay, so that sounds better. Now from here, what we would do is we would set the send and return level so that when we're toggling the pedal on and off, we have a consistent sound between the on and off sounds. So you can hear how it's a little bit quieter. Now we can adjust the level on the pedal itself. Just go a little bit more. Okay, so for me, that's fine. Okay, so that's the basics of connecting an external pedal to the GX100. And of course, if it was something like a reverb or a delay pedal, you would put the send and return after the amplifier, not before it. Okay, so typically overdrives, wah pedals, compressors you'd probably put before the effects chain. Things like delays, reverbs you would put after the effects chain. So now let's explore some, I guess, more advanced options in terms of getting maximum flexibility out of your external effects pedals. Okay, so first of all, let's look at controlling the on and off state of the send and return directly from the GX100. So say I wanted to toggle the overdrive on and off from my currently selected preset. Okay, I'd go into Control, Expression, hit Assign Settings. Now what we want to do is assign this function to the first row. Now we need to hit select so that it's actually activated or it's engaged. So if it's lit green, it means it's working. If it's not lit, as in these 2, 3, and 4, they're not actually currently active. Okay, so its source is currently set to number 1. We want to set that to current number because we want to have it so that when we toggle the currently selected preset switch or patch switch, then it will toggle between the two states. Now with the categories is where we select the actual send and return. Now these knobs correspond with each column here in the grid. So basically we want to slide along. You see these blocks are selecting as I move it so you can see where you're at. And then we've got send and return, and now we're toggling on and off. So here we go. Clean, hit the currently selected patch. And that's all you need to do. And then just click out of there. Now you can see that it'll toggle on and off every time I hit that pedal. So that's basically how you can control the external pedal state on and off. So you basically just keep the external pedal on all the time, and then you control it from the actual GX100. So that's how we can integrate external effects pedals within the send and return of the GX100. But now what I want to explore is how can we create two parallel effects paths where we can actually utilize that pedal in one channel and then the internal amps within the second channel, or even just blending two separate amps within the GX100 into a parallel effects path. So if we go into the effects palette, now what we want to find is the div mix. Okay, that's divide and mix. So essentially what I want to do is I want to bring that in to just before the amp block here. Now I want to bring the amp block, the first amp block I've got, into this top row here because I want that to work on one parallel path, and then what I'm going to do is bring the send and return to this, down to this second path here. So click hold, bring it down. Okay, so now I'm going to bring the overdrive that I've got currently bypassed in the GX100 up into this top chain. So I'm going to click and hold, bring that there, and now I'm going to assign a second amplifier So let's discuss a couple of different options with the divide and mix. Okay, so first of all, if we hit divide, we've got a couple of different modes to look at. So we've got single mode and then we've got dual mode. Now, in single mode, only one path is active at a time, whereas if you wanted to blend the sound of two different amplifier paths or two different effects paths, then you would set it to dual mode. And now both the left and the right path are active, okay? So this works hand in hand with the mix. And now we've got mix and we've got it set to stereo, and we've also got a pan left and right mode. So with stereo, if you're using the left and right output of the GX100, then you would have one path going out the left channel and then the second path going out the right channel. Okay, so you've got two discrete effects paths, whereas if you're using pan mode, you can actually change the position within the stereo spectrum of the actual path itself. So now if we toggle between the channel A and channel B, being this bottom path, we can see that it's basically turning both paths between on and off. Okay, so top path, and then the bottom path. So now what we want to be able to do is toggle or change the actual effects path by the currently selected switch. So we want to go into Control Expression, Assign Settings, and previously where we had it set to the send and return, now what we want to do is change the category to the divider, and we want to change the parameter to the channel select. Okay, so if we exit that now you can see that we're able to switch between paths. Now, of course, you can extend these paths as much as you want. You may want to have, if I go into effects here, let's go, say I wanted to have, say, a rotary on this first path. I could drag the delay that I've got here into this path. So you can build these effects chains or these paths as much as you want, really, and essentially have two completely different channels that you're changing from the same currently selected patch number. And of course, you don't have to be toggling between the top path and the bottom path. You might want to have both running simultaneously so that you can blend the two. So in that case, you would set the divider mode to dual, and once you're set to dual, you go into the mix mode, and then you can blend the level from channel A and channel B, where you might want to have, say, two different amplifiers, one on channel A, one on channel B, two different types of amps where you can blend the sound of both to really sort of get a fat, heavy sound, for an example. So it's really flexible. So basically explore some of the different options, and I hope that helps. If you like this video, please consider subscribing, and I'll catch you on the next one.